Sometimes we have to learn how to get out of our own way. Ego, self doubt, and just plain owning a business can turn us into a version of ourselves that we aren't proud of. Today's guest shares a story that's sure to resonate with you. Stay tuned for another great episode of Bad Boss Confessional. Hi, I'm Beth Fahey, and welcome to Bad Boss Confessional. I've been a leader for over 30 years, and I'll be honest, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. The thing is, those mistakes taught me more about leadership than any success ever did. This podcast is where we get honest about the moments we'd rather forget and discover why they're the ones actually worth remembering. Each week, I talk with leaders who aren't afraid to share their worst boss moments and what they learned from them. Because here's what I know: every great leader has a story they're not proud of. And this is where we tell those stories. Today's guest is Amanda Matthews, an EOS implementer from Dallas who helps entrepreneurs build wildly successful businesses without sacrificing what matters most in their lives. Drawing on years of corporate leadership experience, Amanda works with leadership teams to gain clarity, strengthen accountability, and navigate the interpersonal challenges that can slow organizations down. When she's not coaching leadership teams, you'll find her dancing or diving into a good book. Amanda, welcome to Bad Boss Confessional.
Thanks, Beth. I'm super excited to be with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. So tell me about dancing.
Oh, dancing. I've danced since I was a little kid. And then when I was in college, I figured out that I loved to swing dance. So I was in college in the 1990s. If any of you were around during that time, you might remember there was a Gap commercial in which people were swing dancing. And so it created this fad and frenzy about swing dancing. So Austin, where I went to the University of Texas, was a big hub for that. So lots of live music, lots of people dancing. And so I got to get into it at that time.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Hmm.
I am an Elaine kind of dancer, like
Yeah. Also a good kind of dancing. Any kind of dancing is good,
yeah.
even Elaine.
So not my strength, and my kids like to tell me all the time that I'm
Oh.
like, Mom, don't dance, really. But I'm glad that you dance, and I love it when I see people that dance well. Do you ever
Well,
dance in your session room?
I do dance like with enthusiasm. Like when something really awesome happens and they land like their core focus, like I have a hard time not like physically showing that with my body. And I'm like, oh yeah, so there'll be a little bit of like happy dance going on. Yeah, for sure. I do not make my clients dance though. I feel like it is such a place of vulnerability and discomfort for so many people that I never force dancing.
Yeah, I did it once. I had a team that got 100% on their rock completion rates. And so it was like, all right, so I put on Rock Steady, Aretha Franklin, and I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
let's
Yeah.
even my lane dancing. I was up
I
there.
love the rock
Um,
steady, that's so good.
but yeah, there were clearly some people that were highly uncomfortable. I mean, I embrace my bad dancing,
Right.
but yeah,
Some
not
people
everybody
don't.
does.
No, no. So, yeah, I'm that way with karaoke, like, I can't sing, but I will be a great backup dancer for people who do like to sing. So, same way I wouldn't want you to ask me to sing a song right now, I will not ask some folks to dance.
Yeah, I can sing. So
Oh,
maybe we could work something out. We could put on a
we're
show.
perfect. I'm in there. EOS
Okay.
talent show.
Sounds good. Well, I would love to know. I know a little bit about you. I got to know you pretty well last summer. We had a little retreat that we took, and that was super fun. But I'd like to know a little bit more about your career because I've only heard little snippets, and I think the audience would love to know a little bit about your background. Would you mind
Sure.
sharing?
No, not at all. I was really lucky at the University of Texas. I found Capital One. They recruited on campus, and at the time, they were just a little maverick credit card company. Nobody had heard of Capital One. My parents certainly hadn't heard of Capital One, and they were in Richmond, Virginia, or at least the job was at that time. And so off I went to work in the organizational development department of Capital One. So we worked on things like performance management and skill or competency development, leadership development, et cetera. So it was a very entrepreneurial company. I landed at the right place at the right time. And it was kind of one of those jobs where they said, like, you seem to be good at this. Go figure out how we're going to do executive coaching. Go figure out how we're going to do management development tracking of high potential employees. So I just got this amazing freedom and support. It was a company that really led by its values and led by people management. Skill was really valued there. So I got just dyed in the wool training about how to be a great people leader and got to attend classes well before I was actually the target of those classes, right? I was just a little newbie, but I was in the classes with the executives and all that because I was auditing the classes. So really fortunate. Ended up eventually moving to their Plano location as part of the leadership team for their auto finance division, supporting the auto finance president and the leadership team and helping with all their people strategies. So it was a ball. It was really, really a great time.
Wow, you're like one of the very few, like less than 5% of entrepreneurs that I know that actually had management training. Did that help you in your next chapter or?
Absolutely. So I married a lovely human that was an entrepreneur, like a true visionary. He developed restaurant concepts. And so I decided to leave Capital One after 14, 15 years and go help him run his company. So before I knew what EOS was, I was in a visionary integrator relationship, but I didn't understand that. Um, which is probably why we are no longer married, but still very good friends. So if I had only read Rocket Fuel earlier, I always tease him. But that being able to bring that experience into the hospitality world, into the restaurant world, which again, a lot of people in the restaurant world don't have that management experience. Like they don't have that training per se, but they've figured it out along the way. So it was really a neat environment for me to go in and be able to share that kind of training and that level of kind of corporate focus on our culture and our values and all of that in that environment.
So I'm sure everything just went super smoothly for you.
Oh yeah, there was never a bad step taken. No, I was came across as very corporate in the beginning.
I
They
was gonna
were
say, were you
dro-
like
oh my
corporate
gosh.
Amanda?
Oh, awful. Like they were dropping F-bombs left and right and I was like personally not offended. I have a good salty language vocabulary myself, but in a work setting it really shocked me and I had to get adjusted to that. And employee issues when you work at Capital One are pretty mellow, not very exciting. When you get into the restaurant world, they get real exciting and very interesting.
Like,
So
we
always
don't
just
shoot up at work. I'm sorry, but we just don't shoot up. Not
exactly.
here. Whatever you do at
Yes.
home, that's okay.
Exactly. So I made my missteps and definitely learned by doing. And in fact, one of this particular podcast reminded me of one of those moments where I realized my corporate management style and a restaurant management moment didn't necessarily match up really well. So
Hmm.
painfully learned that being a restaurant manager is not the same as being a manager of people in a competency planning and development department.
Yes.
Hmm.
So is there a story that you could tell us that
Oh,
gives light to that or something just juicy for us to kind of have some
I'll,
schadenfreude about?
oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities for others to have Schadenfreude about my experiences in the restaurant world. Um, I will share a moment in which, right, decades, well, probably by the point, 20 years of managing people, right, and I had all this knowledge and skill. I thought of myself as a really good people manager until this day. I was asked to go be what's called a key manager in a restaurant. So we were short staffed. Our salaried manager positions, general manager, assistant managers, at one of our outdoor bar concepts. So high volume bar. And so I said, oh, okay, well, I designed the training for this role of key manager, right? I made all the checklists. I should be able to go in and do this job of key manager without a problem if I actually did my job well in designing the training and putting together checklists, right? So I was going in there kind of excited to test out how my actual work had done. So one of the things a key manager does, they're called a key manager because they have a key to the restaurant. And they're kind of they're the lowest level of management, typically still a non-salaried position. Um, and they're not really managing others. They're just managing the tasks of like what you have to do to open a restaurant in the morning. So counting the money in the safe, turning on the lights, getting the air conditioning set. And so I'm doing my little checklist, going around, and it's, like I said, a big outdoor bar. I'm in the backyard of the bar where a lot of our tables are, and it's one of our utility staff members' job to clean up the backyard. And so they're moving cigarette butts around and things like that, getting that cleaned up. And we happened to cross on the back patio, and I noticed he had like a big chunk of tobacco chaw like in his jaw. And I said, oh, hey, is that tobacco? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, just so you know, because you work in the bar, like it's a food violation, a health code violation. You can't have tobacco in your mouth. Little side note in my head is like, is that true? I think that's true. I don't have a lot of restaurant experience, but I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to chew tobacco, right? This is the thought bubble going on in my head.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, my mom gets to chew tobacco, and he names some other place. And I go,
His
yeah,
mom.
well, yeah. And I said, well, we don't allow that here. So can we both agree that you're not going to chew tobacco in the future, and you understand now that it's a health code violation? And he was like, yep, okay, fine. And like, he's not happy, but it was a pleasant enough conversation. No big deal. Great. Next day, I am back being key manager again, going through my checklists. And now this same utility team member is has climbed a little ladder. He's in behind the bar, and he is filling the beverage mixture, the alcohol mix that goes into our frozen drink machine. So this thing will eventually pull out delicious frozen watermelon margaritas. And so he's leaned over the machine, right, pouring this mixture in with a big thing of tobacco still in his mouth. And of course, like my brain goes, ugh, like what if a little drip or dribble of that like ended up in our drink mix? And I'm like, ugh, gross. And then also like, what the heck? Who is this joker who is not totally defied what I said yesterday, right? This is blowing my corporate brain, right? Because how could you defy what your manager actually literally asked you to do? Like, this is not a black and white, oh, I didn't understand moment. And now my ego
Hmm.
steps in and also says, and I'm the owner of this place too. What,
Hmm.
what what, moxie this person has to not respond. So I, now I'm also now not context aware. I'm totally blind of the fact that when I first talked to him, first day, we're outside. Nobody else is there. It's just me and him. We're having a casual conversation. Now we're in the bar.
Hmm.
Bartenders are around. Other staff is around getting set up for the day. And
Hmm.
I just blurt across the bar and I say, do you have tobacco in your mouth? With all that
Hmm.
great incredulous tone in my voice. Lots of good shamey energy, right?
Hmm.
In the tone of my voice. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, we talked yesterday. That's a health code violation. Now I'm going to have to write you up. Oh my gosh. So now I say it that he's going to get written up in front of all of his peers, right? And I'm, again,
Hmm.
totally blind. I'm just literally acting from instinct. Adrenaline's a little high. My ego's a little bit bruised. And I was like, well, after you get done, come meet me in the office and we'll write it down. So then I'm like, okay, this is a write up. Here's what it means. Go through the whole thing. So just don't do it again. Like, don't fire yourself. Like, this is all you have to do. I think we have a great conversation. I'm at this point now, we're in the office and I'm kind of calmed down again and just trying to coach and make sure he's cool. Great. Next day I come in, he's not working. However, there is a trash bucket, like this would be like a Home Depot, one of the orange buckets you get at Home
Hmm.
Depot kind of thing.
Hmm.
use it to take ice and things back and forth,
Mhm.
or trash, not the same bucket, different buckets for ice and trash. And and the bucket, for those of you who are just listening and don't see my picture, I have very curly hair. On the
Mhm.
bucket is this picture of a mean, like Charlie Brown style face with the zigzag mouth and all this curly hair sticking out to the side. And
Mm.
I'm laughing. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh. Well, I totally deserved that, right?" This is how he felt after being
Yeah.
publicly shamed, right? In front of his peers. And like the whole team's watching me. And I realize that they have seen both the incident that happened and this reaction in the bucket. And I just laughed and I said to them, like, "Well, I guess I deserved that." And then went on my day. And then by the end of the week, like literally had done it 2 more times and ended up getting fired by some other
Mm.
manager. It was not me, thank goodness. But it was one of those moments that I was totally blind that I had misbehaved as a manager until I saw that bucket. And then I was like, "Mhm."
Righteous indignation.
Oh, so righteous. So, oh, and it's the worst. It is the worst characteristic, when someone gets in that space, and I was totally in that space.
Well, it's so funny that I may have even told this story on the podcast, but I have a very similar story, also food safety story. I had a bakery, you had a restaurant, but there is nothing that scares a restaurant operator more than the thought of some major health code violation or people getting sick. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you want to terrorize a restaurant owner, just do something around food safety, and that'll send them around the bend.
Absolutely.
Uh, so looking back, what would you have done differently? If now that you're older and wiser and you're coaching other leaders, right?
Yes, right.
How would you coach yourself in that moment again?
I think it's a couple things. Like, the first is the classic, like, praise in public, criticize in private, right? That is, like, so core to every great management practice, and I just missed it. I just missed the situational awareness that there were other people, because all I could see was this person who had not done what I asked him to do. So that's number one. First, like, if you're going to criticize, scan the environment. Make sure that you're doing it in a way that's not in front of other people, because it does create shame, which then creates even worse behavior, right? Nobody operates at their best when they're feeling shamed. So that was a big miss on my part. The second part of it, I think, is being self aware enough to realize that I didn't feel confident doing what I was doing, right? I did not feel skilled as a restaurant manager, right? I had my little checklist. I was trying to go around and prove myself to these people who really, they saw me pass through, and they saw me kind of more in the person who helps develop their training and all that stuff. So I felt like I didn't have great authority, or I had great authority, right? I was the owner. I was there as the key manager, but I didn't have great, um, I don't know what you would call that, in their eyes. I don't felt like I wasn't credible, in their eyes, right? And so just being more aware that when you are in a situation in which you feel that lack of self-confidence, that may be a rich environment in which you might stumble because you are not operating from your own best self. So I think that those would be my two things to take away, is like, hey, are you approaching or entering an environment in which you don't naturally feel like your normal, confident, I got this self? Be aware. And then two, double check, right? There is no reason. I could have easily said, hey, hey, and when you get done with all your morning duties, can we have a quick chat before the day gets busy? Could have been really easy, right? Nobody would have known what I was asking him about. And there was nothing urgent about that moment. I mean, he was already pouring the stuff in the machine. The deed was done. So yeah, I could have just had that conversation later without any impact into the day-to-day running of the business.
Hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it?
Absolutely, in the most vengeful way.
So in the moment, if you can even recall this, I don't know if you can. but I can remember sometimes when I've completely lost it. And as you're losing it, you're saying to yourself, "I'm losing it. I'm holy shit. I'm losing it right now, and it's
Uh-huh.
happening." And
Uh-huh.
but you're just like, as it's happening, you're thinking
Yeah.
it's like that moment from Bridesmaids. This is totally inappropriate, but
Oh gosh,
that moment
yes.
from Bridesmaids where Maya Rudolph is crossing the street and she says, "It's happening,
It's
it's
happening.
happening."
And there's
And
like nothing she can do about it. She just
there's
sinks
nothing, right?
into the street.
And it's
Yes.
like when you're completely losing it, you're just kind of like, and it's happening and it's out there and oh my god, and you're like thinking, "Can I pull
Yes.
these words back into my
Yeah.
mouth?"
Yeah.
And it gotcha, right? Your insecurity, your
Mhm.
ego,
Mhm.
the imposter syndrome. What?
Yeah.
Day 2 with a clipboard, Amanda? You weren't just like you
I
weren't
know.
all about it?
I wasn't. I was not confident. And you know what's funny is I recently learned in Jill Young's coaching magic course this idea of the unlimited do-over. And that was one that I wish I had had that awareness of like coming back later in that same day and be like, by the way, that was really jerky of me. Like I apologize, right? But again, I don't think I was even aware. Like I wish I had been Maya Rudolph saying it's happening. I was just so righteously indignant that I was like, what's up, jerk? Like, what are you doing? This is my business. You're potentially spewing tobacco juice into my cocktails. Like, I don't even, until I saw the bucket, like, that's the most cringy part of this for me. Like, making errors and letting your emotions get out ahead of you is totally, again, you can apologize, you can repair. I was just totally indignant enough that I didn't even notice until I saw the bucket. And then I was like, right. Yep. Hmm. So, yeah, so that was,
Moments of obliviousness.
yes, that
Because
was really the problem.
and then it's always like you go from that to some other fire, and it may
Exactly.
be like 3 years later.
Yes, I was at least lucky that the bucket appeared the next day. But yeah, like because I left my key manager shift of opening the restaurant and then went on back to my headquarters job of running the day to day of the business. Right.
Yeah,
So I didn't even process it. I just went back.
right.
So yeah, I missed the moment.
So with that in mind, and knowing that you've had a fair amount of management training and now you're an EOS implementer, when you're working with your clients, are there any books that you've read, or is there one that you like to reference out to your clients?
Yeah. The first book that really made a huge impact on me in terms of people management was Difficult Conversations,
Mm.
Stone, Patton, and somebody else. Um, because for me, understanding the power of your word choice and how
Mhm.
important that is really struck home for me. And to me, it really dialed in the fact that my job in management was a lot about preparing so that I had the right words to use so that they landed as good as they could, especially when it was going to be a difficult conversation. The other concept in that book that I really loved was this idea of a identity earthquake, I believe. It's been quite a while since I've read it, but this idea that there are some things that when you talk to a person about it, it so deeply touches the core of who they are as an individual and their
Mm.
identity that if you are approaching one of those things that
Mhm.
like that I'm a trustworthy person or that I'm a moral person or that I like if you're touching anything that's going to like press on that button, gosh, you have to handle that truly skillfully or it can be one of those things that's really hard to repair, you know.
Mhm.
So and it also explains sometimes why the emotion that you're getting back from somebody when you're having a difficult conversation is so much stronger than you anticipated because you hit one of those core items to them that you didn't even know was there
Mm.
and not letting that throw you off and just being able to sit with that and acknowledge that, like, oh gosh, I think I must have touched something pretty deep for you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really, I apologize for that. I was unaware. Tell me a little bit about what you're experiencing, right? And allowing that not to fester for the person and acknowledging that you've done it so that you guys can clear the air about it before
Mm-hmm.
the conversation ends. That's kind of what that book did for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, the trappings of how you do all the rest. I mean, I spent a ton of time in performance management. Uh, became a little less important to me. I mean, definitely I've seen people overcomplicate it. That's one of the things why I love How to Be a Great Boss, because it is so simple. It's so straightforward. Like, just talk to your people in planful conversations, and pretty much that's going to get you 90% of the way there.
Yep.
And the simplicity, like the understanding of people's identities and your word choice, plus the simplicity of how regularly you should just talk to them in a structured way, that's all
Mm-hmm.
you need. And
Yeah.
so those two things would be what I recommend. That's enough.
There are so many books, obviously, that you can read and get yourself all twisted up about, and that you're not doing it right. But if you just look at that person on the other side of the desk or the other side of the table and look at them as a human being and
Yes.
think, okay, how would I want to be spoken to?
Yeah.
Like, let's
It's that
think.
basic.
And it's, it's a very basic tenet. It's kind of the core tenet of most religions, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but let's just I can we bring that back to the
Yeah.
office? And one of the things that I see so often with teams, especially early in the journey, they've got their own systems, they've got their
Mm-hmm.
way that they do their reviews, and there's so much
Mm-hmm.
complexity often with their review systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that the reason that they're so complicated is that we're trying to just avoid the emotion around what we have to say instead of just going right for the
Yes.
center of what it is that we need to say. And if we just had the courage to say the thing, and not in a mean way and not like a jerk,
Mm-hmm.
but if you just had the courage to say what
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking and be
Mm-hmm.
direct, you would save so much time
So
and
much time.
frustration.
You hit the nail on the head for me. Is most systems are designed to try to create the illusion that there is some systematic way in which we can rank, in which we can categorize, create criteria around, such that when you are giving feedback, it's because the system
Mhm.
said you had to do it, or the system forced the manager to do it.
Yeah,
Instead of just knowing what you know about the person and
right,
and sharing that with them
right.
in a way.
And
But
and getting
one,
curious.
yeah, like, what's going on with you? Because it seems weird that you would be doing this thing.
Yeah,
So tell me more. Yeah,
yeah.
my one of my good friends, his name was Dick Grote. He was one of the early pioneers of performance management. He went all around the world talking to big corporations and helping them get on performance management systems. And I loved what his whole core tenant belief was: you just need to look the person in the eye and say it like you were saying any other business project. For some reason, when you're giving performance feedback, people get real serious and they feel like they have to deliver with, the same energy, which they like, almost like it's a punishment. And it's like, or you could just relax and have a interesting conversation and not make it too serious, because it doesn't have to be. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me, was just chill out and have the conversation. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Somebody might cry, and if that's the worst that happens, that's just them not knowing how to express all of the emotion they're feeling other than through tears. I am one of those people, so I totally get it. Hmm.
I wish I could cry more, but I am one of the non-criers out
That's
there.
okay too. I
Like,
was I
I'll
was
die
a
early.
non-crier. No, I was a non-crier until my mom passed. And then it like tapped into something in me that I was like, oh, there are always tears available now. So I don't know if it tapped into like a different, more emotional me, or if it's just that once you have had a big grief in your life, you can access that a little bit more. But I'm now a crier.
Yeah. I am definitely a TV crier.
Oh,
Or
okay. See, I wasn't that until now. Okay. Hmm.
yeah, like, you put on the right Hallmark commercial, I'm right
Well,
there.
that's
But
fascinating. Okay.
yeah, I know that that says something about me. All
But
the
in a work setting, you're
psychiatrists in the
saying
audience.
your
I
feedback, like if I gave you tough feedback, it wouldn't, like, tears do not even approach.
if you gave me tough feedback, I'm
Uh-huh.
one of the weirdos that would actually really like that.
Yeah. Tell me more. What do you
Well, I
yeah.
would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh gosh, am I really coming off that way?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me more." Now, if it
Yeah.
comes from a family member and somebody that you're working with, that's a little different,
Ooh, yep,
right? So
true.
I worked in a family business, so that got a little
Ooh, that's harder. Mhm.
that was harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been certainly fired. I've 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 definitely gotten, some feedback that hasn't always been great. But as I've gotten older, even with my teams, my clients, if there's something going on that I'm not doing well, I really want to hear it actually.
Mhm.
And I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot better at it. But I mean,
Yeah.
maybe in my 20s I wasn't that great,
Yeah. Yeah,
which
I
is
get that.
probably very common.
Yes, I agree. I'm much better with feedback now than I have ever been in my life. It
Right.
just comes with
Right.
wisdom that it's just part of learning.
Right. It's like, "Ooh, what do I have to learn here? This is a
Yeah.
growing moment. This is
Mhm.
exciting. Oh, I thought I
Yeah.
had it all figured out.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't."
Exactly. So, yeah, I agree.
We'll return to my conversation with Amanda after a word from our sponsors. Do you love running on EOS? Try Strutty, the EOS platform people love. Native integrations and extra features help you manage people, projects, process, and engagement. Connected to your favorite EOS tools and all in one place. You love EOS. It's time to love the platform you're running it on. Try Strutty free at strutty.com. That's STRETY.com. Strutty, the EOS platform people love. Let's be honest, hiring the right people is hard. That's why I love Titus Talent Strategies. Their whole person hiring approach helps you find and keep A players who align with your values, and they back it with an industry leading guarantee. Best part? Titus Talent Strategies is included in the entrepreneurial toolkit for companies running on EOS. Check them out at titustalent.com/EOS. And now, back to my conversation with Amanda. All right. Well, this has been a lovely conversation, but before we go, I have a question for you.
Okay.
First of all, do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have a tattoo on my rib cage for my mom. So
Oh,
the 1 year anniversary of her passing, I'd heard this story of Tim Russer, Kurt Russer. I can't remember who's the father's son, but he said I always wanted my dad by my side. So he put his tattoo there. So I loved that idea. So I've got a tattoo. So my mom is always by my side.
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So it just says
That's
mom,
sweet.
like an old sailor tattoo. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. Is it like
Mm-hmm.
a heart and it
It's a
has mom?
heart with the little banner across that says mom. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but to our story here, just back to the story. I was just curious if you had the opportunity to get a tattoo, and I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
that you should, but that would help you
Mm-hmm.
remember, uh, just to keep your ego in check, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
is there something that you can think of that would help you remember?
I think I would need like one of those like little wrist tattoos, so it'd be really easy to see. Or maybe I should probably put it on the back of my hand, even easier to see. Something around like pause, or like I don't know what the phrase, but something like that would cause me to be like, scan the room or head on a swivel, which we always just say in the restaurants, right? You're always scanning, like, where are you? Is this the right time? Is this the right place? That would probably be a good one. It's something around pausing. In general, pausing before I speak is not one of my strong suits.
I, I feel you on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get it out.
Yep. Yep.
I wonder, I mean, like, there's so many, I've gotten so many good ideas here. As most of the guests know, I do not have any tattoos. And I think that I'm just vicariously living through people as I ask them about their, what kind of tattoos they would have.
You
But
can
that
just
made
get
me
a
think like
mhm.
a musical rest, like,
Oh,
like
that's
some
so
music
cool.
that,
Yes.
that I, I might need that one.
Yeah. I can just picture you developing this whole line of like temporary tattoos based on these management concepts, and then people could just like, put them on when they're about to enter in a difficult conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a very entrepreneurial idea there, and one that actually my practice manager, Jackie, has brought up, and she's very excited about, so you might actually be seeing those.
Oh my gosh. Well, I adore Jackie. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Hmm.
Well, this has been a lovely conversation, Amanda, as our conversations always are, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. Well, I see you in February, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we have our training in February, and that's always a big shindig. Big boondoggle for us implementers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it and seeing you there live.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right, have a great weekend, and thanks so much for your time, and, see you soon.
Thanks, Beth.
Many thanks to Amanda Matthews for sharing her story about how she turned an embarrassing situation into a growth opportunity. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Thanks for listening to Bad Boss Confessional. Have a great week.